Poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Tactical Tuesday on Chasing Poker Greatness with your hosts, Brad Wilson and Jon Chai.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Tactical Tuesday. I am joined by my co-host, Jon. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you, Brad?
Doing quite well. I'm very pumped that you found two hands to break down after many hours of searching.
Yeah. These are two hands that somewhat unrelated. Don't think there's a theme that unifies either of them other than maybe I wasn't sure what the right action was, but that's a theme in every Tactical Tuesday. So
the underlying theme is that Jon needs help generally or has questions about all the different spots. What are these two spots in today's show going to be about?
So we'll do the first one. This is going to be a multi-way spot where I'm bluffing and wasn't sure what to do on the turn. I guess we can just run this hand and break down the action.
Dive right into the action. So starts out, you have the 9-7 of hearts. Under the gun opens to 25. Button flats 25. Button looks to be short.
Yeah.
Not a full buy-in.
Button's a confirmed fish. Under the gun is a confirmed reg or MP, right. I guess.
Yeah. And you're in the big blind with 9-7 of hearts. You have both players covered. The under the gun or middle position player, they have like 115 bigs or something like that to start out, and you've just got everybody covered. You complete, and you flop a pretty good hand. Straight flush draw, tray 5-6 with the 5-6 of hearts, double gut shot, and a flush draw.
Yep.
So we'll start here.
I think I should have donked, or at least considered donk. I didn't. I remember like in game, like just snap clicking check, which I think I do too often. It's almost like muscle memory. Like, oh, I defended the big blind, I just checked the flop.
Yeah.
This is like a spot where I think as soon as I checked, I was like, shoot, I should have maybe at least considered donk and probably just done it, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. I think that like there's not many bad things that can happen when you lead with this hand. You have tons of equity. I guess the biggest downside would be that the MP player raises and pushes the fish out, but I think it's quite rare that on this board the MP player would raise.
Yeah, I would be shocked.
They may not even have a raising range at all, honestly.
Right.
But anyway, I guess checking, like, it's really hard to play a hand this strong poorly.
Yeah.
No matter what action
you just have so much equity that
Yeah. So you check, the MP player checks, which is pretty expected, and the button bets big. It's about 75%. So they bet 57.75 into 80.
So my plan here is just to like check raise, jam the turn, basically turn this very, very high equity hand into a nice bluff that, almost I'm sort of just like indifferent whether I get called or jammed on or whatever. Like putting all the money in is probably going to be fine. Yeah.
Are you indifferent? Do you have a preference here? Because I have a feeling I know what your preference would be.
To get called and have the sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even though it's more beneficial for the in position player to fold, my preference is always action.
Just telling the whole world about my gambling problem.
I don't know. We have this in common. That's like, we got a combo draw. Yeah. Like, yes, let's get it in.
Maybe I shouldn't check raise. Maybe I should just call. Like, make sure we have some fun.
Yeah, I think this is like a stepping stone into wolves. Like, are you happy when you check raise here and villain just folds? Like, are you a little relieved, or are you sad that you didn't get a chance to see what happened?
I knew I shouldn't have check raised so big. Like,
yeah. And if it's the former, well, maybe you're a fit for wolves. But if it's the latter, then all right, you're
There's lots of other CFPs.
Yeah, there's other CFPs. There's other CFPs for people that are happy when you don't get action with your combo draw. All right, so you went big, as you said. They bet big. You check raise quite big to 250, setting up like, turn jam basically.
Yep.
And the MP player, who all expectations are on folding here.
Yep.
Cold calls, which is pretty terrifying.
Yep. Oh man, I was very, very sad to see this.
Yeah, I believe you. Any thoughts as to like what they could have?
I don't know about you, but I think this is just like always flush draws.
It could be like top two, maybe.
Okay, yeah, maybe top two, maybe a set like just does this sometimes, but I would expect like a set, maybe even top two to bet the flop. Sometimes that might be like the bottom of their, maybe the only value hands that they bet because they don't have straight. So like maybe they do, bet the flop sometimes with sets. I think sets sometimes just like rip facing the check raise here.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that like it's like a very specific kind of flush draw, right? It's like nut flush draw in general, I would think.
Yeah.
Probably some kind of combo in there. Because like I think actually Queen Jack of Hearts probably just folds.
Yeah.
And maybe even King Queen and King Jack of Hearts just folds as well.
Yeah.
Because like either player could have the nut flush draw and their equity could be reduced heavily.
Right.
Like, so it's pretty much like nut flush draw with a combo.
Yeah.
And
ace 4 of hearts, ace deuce of hearts, maybe ace 3 of hearts, ace. Yeah, I have the 7 of hearts, so you can't have ace 7 of hearts. Yeah.
I mean, those hands too, maybe they have those in full, but I would expect like, ace 4 of hearts to just be like, whatever. Like, or ace deuce of hearts to just rip the flop too. Personally.
Really? You don't think there's like a big difference between ace deuce and ace 4?
I mean, ace 4 has more equity. Like ace 4 has an open ender, but I mean, I think you can get called by worse. 7-8 of hearts, 7-9 of hearts, 8-9 of hearts.
Yeah.
When you have those hands,
Yep.
like your equity gets shut out on the turn. Like SPR is going to be around 1.
Yeah.
Like I would just rip all those hands pretty much, I think.
Gotcha. But like ace jack of hearts, you would flat.
Ace jack of hearts, I would hate everything. I don't know what I would do with ace jack of hearts. Maybe fold. I'm not sure. I like having a gut shot.
Yeah, having the 3 extra outs or sometimes 8 is definitely a big deal. Yeah. But
I'm not sure
basically, like you seem to agree with me that this is not over pairs. This is maybe it's like sets and like it's just going to be a lot of nut flush draws.
Yeah, I would really doubt that like aces is check calling.
Yeah.
So the button does.
It's funny how like 2 minutes ago we were like, yeah, man, we love having a sweat. Like, just don't fold. And now we're like, oh my God, I didn't want to sweat. I didn't want this kind of sweat.
Yeah, like come on, 8-ball.
No heart, no heart, no heart, no heart.
Corner pocket. No 8-ball on the turn. That would make today's show way too easy. The turn is a deuce, so puts up a 4-liner. As we mentioned, SPR is around 1. Deuce tray 5-6. 5-6 of hearts, deuce tray of diamonds. There's 830 in the pot. The button has 671, and the MP player has 870. So on the 4-liner, thoughts?
I mean, okay, so my first thought was like, okay, thank God it wasn't a heart. Like, I really wouldn't know what I would. Man, maybe I just check fold on like a heart turn. That's not the 8 of hearts. But yeah, I mean, 1, I was like really glad it wasn't a heart, and then 2, I was like just. I think I kind of disregarded the fish on the button a little bit too much, but I was just like, how do I get this guy to fold a better flush draw? And I guess I just jam and hope he doesn't have ace 4 of hearts. But yeah, I mean, having a betting range on this turn also seems kind of strange, right? Like just most of the time, if someone showed me this hand, I'd be like, yeah, you should just check range on the turn and
I would think.
figure it
out. honestly, you should have at least 4 combos of 7-4. And maybe 4 combos of deuce 4-2 or 3.
Yeah.
In the big blind with
Yep.
the fish flatting on the button. Like your 7-4 suited would call.
Yeah,
would
or like
imagine.
maybe I have
Maybe.
4x of hearts, you know. Like,
Yeah, you can have 4x of hearts as well. The problem is like one of these villains could just have ace 4 of hearts.
yeah.
You know,
Or they could both have 4s or something. I don't know. Like,
right. Like who knows?
Yeah.
I would say the biggest wild card's the button because who knows? They
Yeah.
sized up on the flop multi-way, which generally means that they have some kind of equity,
Mhm.
and they called the big check raise. So like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they have like 4-5 or
yeah.
ace 4
Or maybe every 4x in the deck that just
Maybe
decides
every
to flat
single-
on the button. Yeah.
or pocket 4s. Who knows
Yeah.
how many 4x they have?
Just like jack 4 of spades or something.
Yeah. So what was your plan here on the turn with your 9-7?
Again, like I said, I was like mostly concerned with the reg. Just trying to get like ace jack of hearts to fold or something like that. So I just ripped it and was like, well, this hand has like pretty good equity versus a 4, as long as it's not ace 4 of hearts. So just let's hope, put all the money in and hope for the best. I don't know, man. I really just don't know what this turn.
Wait. Put all the money in and hope for the best. Well, that was my catchphrase that
Yeah,
you
I'm
frowned
stealing
down
it, I'm
upon, and
stealing
now look at you.
Dude, I've stolen. I frowned on put all the money in and hope for the best. You made fun of me for energy read, and now we just both use both of
Yeah,
those phrases
we do.
all the time.
I actually think energy read is a real thing, but it's very hard to quantify.
Really?
but
Because I just
anyway,
remember getting mocked mercilessly by you.
Yeah,
for
I mean
saying
it's
those words.
it's fun to mock. It's fun to mercilessly mock people, but I think there's also something to it, and that there's data points that are tangible but a little bit more ethereal in nature to track that can, we can prioritize to lean us one way or the other in decision making. I have to believe that. Plus I enjoy believing it because like I'm a big fan of like magic being in the world, and like that there's some form of like magic there, right? Like, I mean, when you break down everything in poker and you can quantify every little bit, like just, the Philhelmus white magic is appealing to me.
Yeah.
Let's keep a little mystery
Yeah.
in poker.
Okay.
So the reg folds mercifully, right? Like
Mhm.
this is the player you're most concerned about.
Yeah.
And actually, you have equity to really draw versus the button anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we should just consider like just have the discussion of like, what do we do if we check the turn? Should we be checking the turn?
I don't know. This is a hand that's going to come up like 3 times in our lifetimes. So like, I mean, if I think the problem is like, I guess like ace deuce and ace tray of hearts like will fold the turn when you jam. Ace 4 of hearts, you're just dunzo.
Yeah.
You're just
Click the reload button and pay attention to all the other decisions because.
I think like check. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. John. This is like such a tricky situation. I mean, I think like trying to fold out the bigger flush draw is like got to be part of the plan. I think I would be too afraid to like check call the button because then I think like then the other player can like overcall. I don't know.
And like, do
Maybe
they ever bet without a 4? So like, what am I? Like,
they don't. And then what do we do on the river? Like if river's a heart or pairs the board with a heart or whatever, like then we're just guessing again.
Yep.
So whatever, I think I'm gonna land on just stick it in and hope for the best. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't actually know what to do here.
I'm glad. I did this jam and I was like, this doesn't feel good, but I don't know what would be better than this. So just pick the lesser of 2 evils.
I mean, what does a set do? Top 2 pair probably folds. It has to fold. There's no probably about it. A set probably has to fold too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened with the set.
Yeah.
So anyways, I jam, the reg folds, and the button snaps.
Which like, okay, so they have a 4. Like as long as it's not ace 4, you're in shape.
Yeah.
In good shape. Well, the river paired the board and completes the flush. and they have the ace 4 off with no heart. So going back to the turn though, you're like, yeah. So
Wait. Have the ace 3 of hearts fold.
yeah.
Oh,
you
it doesn't.
fold
It
out.
doesn't change the. Okay.
Huh?
I thought it would change the equity, but
Nah, who knows, man, what this Hold'em Manager 2 stuff's going. That adds up to 99% anyway. Yeah, you folded out the nut flush draw.
with a
and
pair. No.
Yeah, of course. Like, what are they gonna do?
I know. It feels better when he has a pair. So.
Yeah. And then you gotta manufacture the situation where you make a little money versus a straight. All of this for like just a little bit of money too. It's like that's what's really hilarious. Is like, well, we have like 33% equity, and yeah. Okay, well, this was a really crazy hand, where you folded out the better draw.
It feels so good when you fold out the nut flush draw and the heart completes on the river. Like, yeah, that's.
Yeah, we folded out the better draw, got called by a straight, and this is celebratory. But it is celebratory. This is like the best case scenario.
Yeah, I know. This is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and it does feel atrociously bad if you're ace, whatever they were, ace 3 of hearts.
Calls.
And the heart completes. Like,
Yeah.
you just feel like death.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I just jam the flop? Like, if I would have jammed the flop, none of this would have happened. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, nice hand.
Can't jam with ace 3 of hearts though. Ace 4, I think you can. What do you think about ace 3? You think it just doesn't matter?
I would just jam.
Yeah.
I think there's like a real power in simplification and like over realizing here. And like when you call, you're just creating a really shit spot for yourself downstream.
Yeah. I mean, we saw how easy it was to like narrow their range down to hands like this basically as soon as they call the flop. So
Yeah, this is
probably
like
should do things like that.
Cold calls pre-flop. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so we know what you have,
Yeah.
basically. No, nice hand. I think the biggest mistake is just like ace tray should just rip and be like, okay, I have like a decent share of this pot. I'm going to always realize I can have the best hand when villains call. So whatever.
Mm.
All right. Now we'll move on to the second hand. I didn't realize this was going to take all of 17 minutes. Stick around for this no theme episode. God knows we can't recreate another spot like this coming up after the break.
Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.
All right. Welcome back from the break. Looks like we have an ace and a king in this second hand of Tactical Tuesday. So, John, you want to break down the pre-flop action?
Sure. So this hand starts with a fish opening the cutoff. Doesn't look like a fish because he starts with 1,700 big blinds or 1,800 big blinds. Or sorry, 180 big blinds.
That's a lot of big blinds.
Yeah, that's a lot of big blinds. I was thinking $1,800. 180 big blinds, but he is definitely a fish. He opens at $30. I have ace king offsuit in the small blind. I 3-bet to 130. The big blind folds, and the fish calls the 130. Pretty good flop. Ace 10-5 rainbow. So we flop top pair, top kicker, out of position. I think there are a lot of ways you can go with this hand. I think there are a lot of ways you can go, particularly because we're playing against a fish. I think like one of the things that we all probably know is that like fish just play too many hands pre-flop. Generally, they open too many hands, limp too many hands, probably peel 3-bets too wide. everything all the above. So I decided to start out with a flop check, just to let their overly wide range maybe stab on this flop and just go into like bluff mode or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could go either way. Like you could check. I kind of like check because I think even though like it's a 3-bet pot, SPR is around 3, which means that with some big bets you can probably get the money in if you desired downstream. So a lot of flexibility starting out check.
Yep.
You could also bet like a quarter, which I think is like totally fine as well.
Yep.
Either one.
Yeah, I think
Villain
it's close
checks.
between small bet and check.
Yeah. Villain checks back, which is probably not what we wanted. Turn is a 7, and you opt to check again.
Yeah, this check I was less sure about, but just similar logic to the flop. Like we have kind of a lock on this hand. I would expect like ace X to start maybe sometimes stab the flop, but definitely stab the turn once check 2 twice. I think one of the things that like I noticed fish do a lot in these spots is like, oh, they check twice and then they just started betting like random hands on the turn for what they think is like protection. So like, seeing a fish bet like pocket 6s or pocket 8s on the turn here, once they get checked through twice, I don't think would be shocking. I would expect them to like have similar logic with like 10x and maybe even they're like 7x. Like, oh, this guy just has 2 overcards when he checks twice, so I need to, bet these hands for value or protection or, whatever reason they have to bet these weird low pairs. Not that 10x is that weird.
Or it's like, they have 6s. Like, and I know they have kings. Now I need to start putting money in. They check twice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that in general, they tend to bet their top pair on the flop. I don't know that they check back twice with a lot of their top pair. I think like if they do have top pair, they are betting it on the turn. Generally,
yeah.
No, I just think they almost always do.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little concerned that like they're, king queens, queen jacks, king jacks type hands will, if they were going to bluff, they would start on the flop, and once they pass up that opportunity to bluff, less likely to bet on the turn.
Gotcha.
But I mean, I guess the turn 7 of diamonds does give them plenty of opportunity to have like jack 9, 8, 9, 6, 8.
Yeah.
Any 2 diamonds type thing.
Yep.
So you check again and they bet half and you call.
Yep.
Any thoughts of raising the turn?
That's a good question. I don't think I considered in game. I don't know. I think my value raise like kind of threshold versus fish is going to be, or just like in general, is going to be pretty high. This might just be like right, like right on the cusp of it. Yeah, I think you could definitely just check raise this for value, get called by like all the diamond draws, all the 8 9s. Maybe they just peel like, jack 9 and 8 6 like all the time and
diamonds. And
yeah, diamonds.
9.
Yeah.
I think I like check raise a lot.
Yeah, I
on the turn.
didn't really consider it in game actually. My logic in this hand was like all over the place actually. So like here, like I'm just thinking, oh yeah, let all those hands just like keep bluffing and then bluff catch the river. But then I just, you guys will see.
Yeah, it went wild.
Yeah, it's like, I just like changed my mind. Like, actually they have like a lot of thin value that doesn't bet the river now, and like, but maybe bluff catches like ace 3 or like jack 10 or.
Yeah. So you check call the turn. There's 536 in there. You have 833, and now your thoughts here on ace king. The final board, by the way, is ace 10 5 7 5. John has ace king. There's 536. John's got 833. Villain has John covered by a country mile.
I mean, I just like completely flip flopped my logic on the turn. I mean, like I said on the turn, I'm like not check raising because I just want them to barrel all their like 8 9s, jack 9s, diamonds, and 8 6s, and then on the river, I don't know what made me think like, oh yeah, this guy just like has a lot of thin-ish value that bets the turn that won't bet the river because fish just don't bet the river for thin value very well or very often, and like they probably just check back hands that are way too strong. Like if you check back like ace queen on the river, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I would not. I would actually expect them to check back.
Right. So I was like, just now suddenly just pivoted to like wanting to target that thin value range, instead of letting like the 8-9, like, you know, all those bluffs on the turn just continue bluffing, considering the river, which is 5 of hearts, is a total brick.
Yeah.
If I had to like kind of give myself an out and like justify this river donk, I would maybe guess something like, oh, like I knew this guy was a fish, so I'm sure I'd seen him play some hands and show down some hands before. Maybe I noticed that like he just doesn't bluff. Like maybe he just checked down like a 0 showdown hand a handful of times, and I just know that like, oh, like he doesn't even barrel the 8-9 on the turn. He just like checks that down and then checks the river. But and if that's the case, if he doesn't bet those hands on the turn, then like that means his turn betting range is comprised of a lot of like finish value hands that I'm targeting right now. So maybe I thought like the best value line was check Paul and then donk the river and try to get called by like Jack 10, 10-9.
Yeah. Backdoor energy read.
Yeah. But that's like, again, I mean, that sounds like reasonable logic, but I can't even say for sure that that's what I was thinking in game, or like that's why I did what I did in game.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the biggest, the factor that I guess makes some sense would be that like in general, the bet size by the in position fish is like probably going to be half pot after they bet half pot on the turn. And so like really it's the mental arithmetic is like you're betting 833, so you overbet donk ripped. And so you win like 3x when they have like
I see. Yeah.
Versus
the 250.
The 250.
Yeah.
So like you do win a lot more when they do call with ace x. And so like do they have like 3 times as many bluffs as they do like ace x? I don't know the answer to that question, but like that would be the mental calculation.
I really thought that I'd get bluff caught by 10x here, even in this spot. So I think if you start adding in 10x to the ace x, like it probably makes it so that there's way more hands that call than bluff, I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, this hand is like a perfect example of like what we alluded to in the first one about like just intangible data points that you kind of come up with on the fly that leads you to a decision that in isolation looks kind of wacky, but in the moment made a lot of sense.
Right. And I think that's like, again, like that's especially like doing that kind of stuff is really rare for me. Like most of the time I hear people like say things like that, like, bring up their logic for doing something weird. And I'm like, I mean, just check the river, dude, and let their bluffs bluff. Like, what do you mean you knew he had thin value? There's no way you could know something like that. Like, yeah.
Maybe you just got lucky.
Yeah, I think there's a chance I just got lucky. I'm really just hoping my explanation earlier about like him checking down non-showdown a handful of times is is actually what I was basing this decision off of.
Making shit up. I think honestly though, I think you should have just check raised the turn.
Yeah. I like turn check raise. Just like min the turn and jam the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even go a little bit larger than min, probably.
Yeah.
Like get value from 8-9, all their diamonds draws, and then get like basically on the turn you get that extra bet from their busted draws.
And then like check this river.
I would just rip it and just try to get called by ace x.
Yeah.
Like kind of best of both worlds there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, good hand. Don't try this at home, ladies and gentlemen. That's a disclaimer. Energy reads extraordinaire. And yeah, I think that's all we have for this week's episode of Tactical Tuesday. I guess one final thing, going to be in Cherokee, North Carolina. So anybody's out there, come say what's up. John's not going to be there, but I'll be there, and that'll be even better.
When are you going to be there?
Both being there. The 11th through the 15th.
Okay. Oh, nice. So this episode will come out just in time to...
Yeah, just in time. Won't miss an episode next week. Just all the trains will arrive on time.
So I guess next week we'll do another Tactical Tuesday. Brad plays one tournament a year.
That'll be like two weeks from now. I think it takes that long for the tournament to end.
I forgot that you'll only be on level 4 by next week.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
I guess that's it.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Poker Greatness. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Go to chasingpokergreatness.com to get the newsletter, join the Greatness Village community, book a coaching session, or dive into the latest data-driven poker courses. Follow the show on Twitter @CPG Podcast.